name is Denise McCabe and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia, in New South Wales on the Central Coast. And this is my Make It Monday for this week. At Stamp Club this weekend, the hostess wanted to do masking with dies. And we did it with the Many Layered Blooms, which is in the main catalogue. So that's the die we were using. So I'll just find it in the main catalogue for you. So it goes with Blossoms in Bloom stamp set. So that's the stamp set. And then this is the dies that it can cut out here. It's also on page 174. You might get a clearer vision of it there. So these are the dies. So this is the fine one, and then you can cut this one out and layer it over the top of that die. But we just used this die in Stamp Club, the finer blossom die. There are a few other dies that you could use this technique on, and they would be in the mini catalogue. One of them would be the succulent die. So this is the Simply Succulents stamp set or bundle. So this is one of these dies that you could use and mask and blend over with your blending brushes. That would look really nice. And when you start sort of looking at dies, you think, well, what other dies are there? And I have found these ones also in the mini catalogue, which would look really nice. They're called Flowering Vine dies. It goes with the Vine Design bundle, which I hadn't even looked at really, but these dies are just beautiful, and they would be stunning with this blending technique with a mask. So there's other options in the catalogue. When you start thinking like that, you can find other dies that would work just as well. So these were the two cards we made at Stamp Club. So we cut the die out with thick Whisper White card, layered it onto a plain piece of Whisper White card, and then just blended with the brushes. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm using a different colour palette today. So let's get started. I've already cut my die out, and this time I used the adhesive sheets for the backing. I didn't know whether that would work the first time, and so I just taped it down with masking tape. But the adhesive backing actually is working for me. And I'll show you how. So I've already taken the backing paper off, so it is sticky. But I'm not pressing it down too hard because I don't want to go too hard. So we're going to make two cards, one with the die and one with the masking image. And with the die image, I'm going to place it on this piece on basic black cardstock with a piece of Designer Series paper, which is a pale piece of like wood grain paper. So, but anyway, let's get started. I'll start with the green leaves. So I'm using Granny Apple Green and the new blending brushes. I love these blending brushes. I may have said that before. And you just go over it like this. So over the mask, and because I want the whole piece of the cardstock underneath covered with ink, I'm just sort of taking it to the edges as well. Now you could use any colours you want, but these are the colours I've chosen for today. So I'm just picking up the leaves and going over the leaves. Doesn't matter if I hit some of the flower edges, because that will just get covered with another ink colour. So I'll just turn it around. So here's some more leaves. It is a bit tricky with the adhesive sheets because you get all these little bits sometimes not coming out completely and adhering to the back. I think there's one there. So, and then that makes a bit of a bump. So you sort of got to try and get all your little bits out. When you just use some washi tape and mask and tape it down, you don't have that problem. So there's sort of pros and cons for both the adhesive sheet and no adhesive sheet. Just get rid of that. There we go. So as I said, I want the whole piece of the bottom layer of cardstock covered with ink. So I'm just blending it to the edges. So I think that's good enough for the green. So the next colour I'm going to use is Blushing Bride. And I find if I press, this is very narrow, the top where the blending brush attaches to the brush, it's very narrow, so I don't want to do this because it might snap. So, and you get better pressure if you sort of hold it the way I'm holding it. I seem to get a better coverage when I'm blending, and I feel like it's just securing the end of the brush with not too much pressure on it. That's nice. I might take it down to this flower as well. So that's the Blushing Bride. Oh, I might just put a little bit more in here. So you can go back and do more. So that's Blushing Bride. And the other colour I used was Highland Heather. So Highland Heather is a funny one. You sort of think it's going to be really dark, but it's not. And it doesn't sort of look like you've got anything on your brush at first. But as you keep blending, you do get stuff. And you don't need to sort of do it on your paper at first because it's sort of pale. You just keep persisting and you get your colour coming through. Gorgeous Grape, I think, would be too dark and too intense for the colours I'm wanting. See what I mean by the Highland Heather? Seems to take a long time to get the colour transferred. You just keep working at it. We've got a public holiday here tomorrow. We've got Australia Day public holiday. So that's always nice. Hopefully the weather will be good and we might go and dip our toes in at the beach with our little puppy. So I've got a day off work tomorrow. Yay. Now, just go and blend that. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so I'll close my ink pad up. Now you can clean your brushes just like that, or you can use a microfiber cloth and just rub them like that. I just love these brushes. They're so good for blending. Okay. So, because you use the adhesive sheets, you get the little chads everywhere. Okay, so now I'm going to lift this up carefully So if you do it really carefully, it doesn't tear. There we go. And see the masking effect you get underneath? How cool's that? So cool. So what I'll need to do is trim that down. But I'll just put that there for the moment. Oh, there's little chads everywhere. And with my double-sided tape, I shall attach the DSP to the cardstock. And see how it's got a very slight wood grainy look, but it's quite pale. Okay, now I'll get this. Now a couple of the leaves will hang over a little bit, so you can choose if you want to snip them off. So it seems to be this leaf that's the one that hangs over the most. Just make sure that's seems to re-stick okay, so that's good. And then I've got another piece of basic black, and with this one, see, it's the same size as the card front, so I'm just going to trim it down a fraction. So it's 10.5 and I want it to be 10, so I'll take a little bit off each side. And it's also 14.8, so I don't want that, I want 14.4. So I'll just take it off one end, I think. I'm just going to attach that to the front there. So once again with my double-sided tape. There we go. So if you like this masking technique and blending with the new blending brushes, I'd say have a look through the catalogues and see what dyes would work for this. So there's no sticky residue left on the background paper, maybe a little bit, and if you have one of these, I don't know what they were called now, but Stampin' Up retired them, so I can't remember. Just use one of these to get that little bit of sticky residue off. But it's not too bad. It's not like it's really sticky and everything's going to stick to it. It's just a little bit tacky in places. So they're my two cards, which are similar to the ones we did at Stamp Club. I will go ahead and I'm not going to bother with ribbon on these ones. But I will put some pearls or rhinestones and a greeting on them as well. So that's the masking technique using the blending brushes and die cuts. So as I said, have a look through the catalogues, see what dies could work for this technique, because it comes out really amazing. It's nice, it's stunning, I think. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me this week, and I'll see you next week.